Solomonster here. NXT Takeover War Games 2019 from Chicago is in the books. What a show. I feel like a broken record saying that with these takeover shows, but they always deliver. I did miss the kickoff match between Isaiah Swerve Scott and Angel Garza, so I can't comment on it beyond Garza won with the wing clipper. Mia Yim, she was attacked during the pre-show by a mystery assailant. As soon as I saw that, I knew immediately who it was. It should have been obvious. Rhea Ripley ended up recruiting Dakota Kai to take her place in the War Games match. This after she passed over Dakota many weeks ago in favor of Mia Yim. She's sort of like the kid in dodgeball, getting picked last. After the person who was picked before them twists their ankle, it's like, oh, well, you know, hey, why don't you come play for our team? So that was kind of what they did with Dakota. Also on the pre-show, I have to mention this. They had Pat McAfee. Now, Pat McAfee, I thought, did a hell of a job on that one episode of SmackDown when he had to fill in with Renee Young several weeks ago. The whole Saudi debacle, and they had to fly in the NXT crew. I thought he did a great job. No time to prepare. They sent him out there, and he was fine in the role. Not the best night for him tonight, from what I saw. He called Rhea Ripley Rhea Shipley. Not sure who Rhea Shipley is. Neither were the fans. They weren't familiar with her, so they booed when he said that, as they should have. But he got his because they misspelled his name on the Chiron. On the bottom of the screen, they did finally fix it. But when they flashed his name that first time, it said Pat McAfee. It was missing an A. So anyway, Pat McAfee did not have a great night. Show opened with the first ever Women's War Games match. Team Baszler, with Shayna Baszler, Io Shirai, Kaylee Ray, the reigning NXT UK Women's Champion, and Bianca Belair taking on Team Ripley with Rhea Ripley, or Shipley, Candice LeRae, Tegan Nox, and Dakota Kai. Started out with Io and Candice continuing their feud. They went at it. Remember, 5 minutes. You get 5 minutes, the first two people in the War Games match, and then I think it's every 2 minutes thereafter. Bianca Belair was in next. Rhea Ripley was out after that. She immediately went under the ring. She fished out a whole bunch of garbage cans, threw them inside the cage. Kendo sticks out from underneath the ring, put those in the cage. Kaylee Ray grabbed some toys from underneath the ring. She was out next. She teased grabbing a table, and then she stopped short and didn't do it, because she knows what it means to be a heel. Speaking of heel, Dakota Kai. She was out of the shark cage next. So she exits the cage. She's about to come down to the ring, but she stops short. And all of a sudden she gets this mean look on her face, like somebody who just ate a gallon of beans next to her and cut one loose. And she turns around and she delivers a running boot to her best friend, Tegan Nox, the only woman left inside the shark cage for the babyface team. Just kicks her head off. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, I told you. I mean, it should have been obvious, but I told you. I told you for weeks, watch this woman. She is not to be trusted. I figured she would come out a couple of weeks ago and knock Mia Yim off the ladder in the ladder match that she had with Io Shirai, and they didn't do it. They took their time. They had a plan, and it paid off tonight. She has been slighted, and so this was the outcome. Now, was it predictable? Yes. But this was one of the best heel turns I've seen in a long time. I mean, Sasha had a good one too over the summer, but this was great. Yeah, it's kind of like the MJF turn. We just saw Full Gear, MJF. People would have said the same. People did say the same thing. Oh, it's predictable. So what? Predictable does not mean bad. Not if it's well done. That was a great turn. This was a great turn. And Dakota was vicious here. It wasn't just, oh, I'm gonna hit my friend, and now I'm the bad guy, and I'm making mean faces. She was vicious. I mean, she went after this woman. She had to be pulled off of her. William Regal came out. She shoved Regal, which is something you don't do. The fans reacted to that. You don't put your hands on William Regal. Then she ripped off one of Tegan's knee braces. So Tegan Nox has 2 knee braces. She's torn both her ACLs. Both of her knees have basically exploded. And I think what makes this work even better is the fact that these two have been positioned on television, not just as tag team partners, but best friends, right? They've talked this up on television now. Oh, these two are the best of friends. And so to have your friend be the one to go after an injury like that, I think adds to it. Rips the knee brace off and smashes the cage door repeatedly into the surgically repaired knee. This was fantastic. This was great. Baszler is the only one left in the heel shark cage to come out and enter this match. And so finally it's her turn to come out. They unlock the cage door, and the look on her face was priceless. She is sauntering out of the shark cage to enter the match, taking her time, coming down to the ring. It's 4-on-2. And they say because of what Dakota Kai did and because Tegan is unable to compete, the match has officially begun. It is now a 4-on-2 handicap match inside these it's one cage, 2 rings. Some highlights here. Candice hit a poison Rana off the top rope to Kaylee Ray that Ray sold like death. Bianca broke up the fall. It would have been a guaranteed 3 count. Io Shirai is on top of the cage. She had tried something before it got foiled. She was still up there. And Io hits a gigantic moonsault. Beautiful moonsault off the top of the cage. Over-rotated a little bit, but she was coming down from 12 feet up? Wiped out Candice, wiped out Bianca. Io was fantastic in this match. Everything she does. She may be the best in the world right now as far as the women go. In any company. Io Shirai is great. There's a reason why Stardom is talking about how, when she's done in WWE, we'll have her back. We'll have her back. We'll have Kairi Sane back. I don't know if Io and Kairi want to go back. I don't know if they've communicated that to people or if that's just Stardom being overly optimistic. There's a reason why these women were sought after by WWE and why their old promotion is now talking about wanting to get them back. Of course they would. Who wouldn't want to have Io Shirai in their roster? You'd have to be crazy not to. So she was great here. There was another great spot where Kaylee Ray was coming off the top rope and Rhea Ripley murdered her with a garbage can shot in midair. Shayna got Rhea in the Karafuda clutch while she was in the hold. Rhea had a pair of handcuffs that was put on her earlier on one of her wrists. While she's being choked out, she takes the handcuffs and she handcuffs herself to Shayna Baszler. And Shayna lets go of the hold, and Rhea got her for the Riptide, which is her finish, down through 2 seated chairs in the ring for the 3 count. I thought for sure they were going to have the babyfaces valiantly fight back, but then in the end fall short. Fall short to the 4-on-2 advantage, make the heel turn from Dakota more impactful. It didn't bother me, though, that the babyfaces won. It surprised me, but it didn't bother me. I really cannot find much fault in what they did here because it just worked so well. They're all in on making Rhea Ripley out to be their next big star. She's only 23. Hopefully they'll take their time and they'll learn. They'll take cues from other people they've pushed too fast too soon. But they did a hell of a job of making her look strong going into Survivor Series tomorrow night. Look, she's the team captain for the women's team for NXT. I'm not expecting them to win. I'm going to do my predictions for that separately, but she's got to look strong, right? Well, couldn't make her look any more strong than they did here. And so the babyfaces find a way to win. The inevitable Dakota Kai Tegan Nox feud is going to be great. If it's not perfection, you throw that word around. It was as close to perfection, I think, as you could have gotten with this match. Great action, great drama, well-executed heel turn. I think these ladies killed it. On the post-takeover show with Triple H and Kathy Kelly, he said that he thought, and this is Triple H talking. Now, he is a little biased because NXT is his baby. But he said he thought this, at this moment, this could be the strongest women's division at any one moment in the history of the business. He didn't just say in the history of NXT. He didn't say in the history of WWE. He said in the history of the business, there has never been a stronger overall women's division, quite possibly, than the one they have right now in NXT. Now, I can't speak for the Joshi promotions in Japan because they have some of the toughest women you'll find anywhere in the world. And we're seeing more of them coming over to the U.S., right? We see some of them in AEW. WWE snatched up Asuka. They snatched up Kairi Sane, Io Shirai. There may be more to come. So you can say they have some of the best, just tough as nails, women's wrestlers anywhere in the world in Japan. But you know what? What he said here, it's hard to argue. With the strength of the women they have right now in NXT, think of where this division was when Asuka left. When Asuka got plucked from NXT, undefeated, and went to the main roster. At that time, the women's division was dead. It was dead. There was no pulse. The main roster had picked the bones of whatever was great about that women's division in NXT. They had to build that thing back up from the ground up. And they did so, as they've done with the men, largely off the backs of independent stars and stars from other promotions and other countries. I mean, it was just being honest. It's not like they built this division out of all homegrown talent from the Performance Center. Even still, it would be hard to argue that this isn't the strongest collection of women at any one time that maybe we've ever seen. I don't really think he's being too hyperbolic when he makes that kind of statement. And if I'm wrong, then somebody will point out to me, you know, what women's division would be stronger. I would love to know. Rhea Ripley also on the post-show announced her team for Survivor Series. She is the team captain for Team NXT. And her partners, obviously she's going to be there. Her partners are going to be Candice LeRae, no surprise there, Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Toni Storm, who we saw for the first time on SmackDown Friday night. A very uneventful debut appearance on the main roster for Toni Storm. She just sort of appeared. Didn't speak or anything, just like, oh, there's Toni Storm. So Toni Storm will be on the team. She rounds out the team at Survivor Series. Io and Candice on the same team. Even Bianca. Bianca was on the heel side tonight, but, you know, Io and Candice on the same team. Yes, it's awkward. But you look at the other teams on the Survivor Series in the elimination matches. Raw, SmackDown. It's all a combination of heels and babyfaces. It's like the wild card match at the 95 Survivor Series, you know, multiplied by 2 or 3 here on this show. It makes sense. You want to put your best people out there. You have to cross over into enemy lines. If NXT wants to win, you can't just have, well, I'm just going to pick from the baby faces. You've got to pick from everybody. You've got to pick from the whole talent pool. And really, who else makes sense? Dakota turned heel, so you're not going to pick her. She fucked over Rhea tonight. Why would Rhea pick her? Tegan now in storyline is injured. Shane is already in a match. You would pick your champion, but she's occupied. So, you know, it makes sense. At least now we know who the actual participants are. 24 hours, less than 24 hours before the show, we now know who is on Team NXT. Pete Dunne, Killian, Dane, and Damian Priest, with the winner meeting Adam Cole for the NXT Championship at Survivor Series. Priest with a running razor's edge to Pete Dunne here in the middle of this match onto the Spanish announce table, which did not break. I was so happy, though, to hear Mauro Ranallo use that name. Use the name Razor's Edge. He used it multiple times. You know, when Sheamus used it, I think it was the Celtic Cross before they stopped, because I think he was concussing people with it, so that was the end of that. But anyway, so Priest, and you know, it's more impressive, a guy like Priest, they say he's 6'7", which I believe. I mean, he's a big guy. And actually, you know, it's funny, if he is 6'7", I'm kind of shocked they don't claim he's closer to 7 feet. You know, Scott Hall was a big guy too. And I don't know that he was 6'7", but Scott Hall probably wasn't that much smaller than Damian Priest. You know, Priest has the long legs. Not only does he have the long legs, he's got the the tassels or whatever it is that you call on the pant legs. He's got the Diesel gear. He looks like Diesel, only more talented in the ring. So anyway, Razor's Edge to Pete Dunne, table didn't break. Back in the ring, Killian Dane was in the corner setting up for a Vader bomb. Priest catches him in position for what else? The Razor's Edge. and he drops him for the move. Pete Dunne, though, breaks up the pin attempt. There was a running dive out over the top rope in the corner by Damian Priest. To the floor, onto Killian Dane. That was impressive, but probably not something he should be doing very often. So he took out Killian Dane, and Pete Dunne said, well, anything you can do, I can do better. So he decided to go up top, and he hit a moonsault off the top rope, wiped out both guys on the floor. We saw Killian Dane use the Ulster Plantation, which is a name that a lot of people may have forgotten because I saw so many people on my timeline salty about the fact that Killian Dane used the one-winged angel. Oh, they're trying to upstage Kenny Omega. They're taking a shot. They're firing a shot at AEW by having him use Kenny Omega's move and then having people kick out of it. I think he did it twice. There was at least one. I thought there were two one-winged angels that were kicked out of by Killian Dane here in this match. Dane has used this move before. When he first came to NXT, he was using, they called it the Ulster Plantation. I haven't seen him use it recently, but my God, the comments that I saw, this is a shot at AEW. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, calm down. I mean, it's not going to stop them from crying. Believe me, a lot of people crying tonight over something stupid. They're looking for conspiracy theories where none exist. I thought the match actually went a few minutes too long. I liked it. I did think, it was very good, but you could have shaved an easy 5 minutes off this match. It went 20. I think this could have been a solid 15. I thought towards the end there were just too many spots where, okay, this would be a good point for the match to end, and then it would get broken up again. And I understand these guys are fighting for a championship match at Survivor Series, so they're going to do everything they can to win, and storyline-wise, it all makes sense. I just thought it went a few minutes too long. Finish came when Dunn locked Dane in a sleeper hold. Dane, with him performing the move, being choked out in this sleeper hold, put to sleep, he did a running senton with Dunn on his back. They landed right on top of Damian Priest. Knocked the wind out of this poor bastard. Dunn shoved Dane away, and he covered Priest, and he got the win. And so Pete Dunne is going to Survivor Series now to challenge Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. Very good, but a little bit shorter, and I think it would have been excellent. Finn Balor against Matt Riddle. This was supposed to be Finn Balor against Johnny Gargano. Gargano has a neck injury, some kind of cervical sprain or something. Hopefully it isn't something that he'll need surgery for, but he's going to be out for a while. So they removed Matt Riddle from the War Games match and put him here in a match against Finn Balor. I thought this match was very good. Riddle hit a spear at one point, followed by the jackhammer, only for a 2 count. Or the bro hammer, as Morrow called it. I'm sure Goldberg is thrilled. A little bit later on, Riddle had Balor set up for the floating bro off the top rope. Balor got the knees up, though. Hit the shotgun drop kick in the corner. Went for the double stomp, the coup de grace off the top rope. Riddle rolled out of the way. And he got Balor in the bro mission. And Balor was struggling for the ropes. Couldn't quite reach him. He flipped backwards to escape the move. And was able to break the hold. And then, in the end, he dropped Riddle right on top of his head. The 1916 DDT. And scored the win. Very good match. And the right outcome. Again, predictable as it may have been. I say predictable because, Finn Balor is the main roster talent who came back to NXT. He had this big heel turn a few weeks ago. This was going to be his first big singles match since coming back to NXT. Had he fought Johnny Gargano on the show, the outcome would have been the same. I don't see how you can beat Finn Balor in his first match as the new heel single star in NXT. Far more to gain from him winning and staying strong, hopefully for Gargano to come back in the not too distant future, than just to beat him here in his first match. Because that wouldn't have made sense. Riddle's already been beaten. It's not like he was undefeated. They had a very good match, and in the end, he lost. And it may not be the only match we see between these two anyway. Would not at all be shocked to see them rematch on TV as early as this week even. So the right outcome, very good match. And then we got to the men's War Games main event. Undisputed Era, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish against Team Champa with Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, and a mystery partner. Undisputed Era entered this War Games match 1-1 in War Games matches at TakeOver. Ciampa started out with Roddy. Yeah, he started out with Strong. Still no announcement at this point of who the fourth member of Team Ciampa was going to be. All the men came out, but there was no fourth member of the team, and the match began with one guy missing from the babyface team. So they go at it. Kyle O'Reilly, after 5 minutes, comes out next, making it 2-on-1. These matches always work better when the heels have the advantage. They did that this year in both the women's and the men's matches. The heel team had the advantage in both. We had Dijakovic was in next for the babyfaces. Bobby Fish in next for the Undisputed Era. And then out came Adam Cole, the NXT champion. He immediately goes for the tables underneath the ring. Table after table. Cole sets up one of the tables against the barricade. So he then tries to enter the ring. As he's attempting to walk in through the door, Ciampa is there to greet him, and he shoves him backwards, flying, soaring backwards into the table, crashes right through the table. Table breaks. Cole is down. Match continues. Countdown clock appears. We're about to get the mystery partner. We're going to find out who it is. And they count down. Nobody comes out. Undisputed Era is looking at themselves. Still nobody. And then we hear the theme music for Kevin Owens, wearing his original NXT shirt with the KO initials on the front. People are going crazy for Owens. Pop-up powerbomb to Bobby Fish. Fisherman Buster across the knee to O'Reilly. Then he comes face to face with his old friend, Adam Cole. Gives him a crotch chop, hits a stunner. I don't know if this means that Kevin Owens is back for a time in NXT. My guess is this was just a one-shot, but Monday Night Raw can ill afford to lose him as one of its top babyfaces after Survivor Series. You know, they've been doing the inter-brand stuff for weeks now. There is no brand split going into Survivor Series. Everybody just appears and shows up wherever the fuck they want. Well, when Survivor Series is over this weekend, supposedly, we're going to be loyal to the brand split, and so Raw people are on Raw, and SmackDown people are on SmackDown, and NXT people are on NXT. And when that happens, Raw cannot afford to be without Kevin Owens. So I think it would be fantastic for NXT to get him back like they got Balor back, even if it's just for a few months. But it would be very bad for Raw and the people who sit through Monday Night Raw each week, because Kevin Owens is one of the real baby faces they have on that brand. He doesn't come out and get, cheered by half the crowd and booed by the other half. He's not, he doesn't have heat with the fans because he tweets like an idiot or anything like that. People like him. They genuinely like this guy. He was getting over at a pretty high level on SmackDown before the Shane McMahon feud just completely went off the rails and killed whatever momentum he may have had, and then he didn't even show up on TV for a month. Tonight was hopefully the start on the comeback trail for Kevin Owens, because it felt like they kind of almost cooled him off for a while. But he came out tonight, you would never know. He blew the roof off the place. So he had Roderick Strong at one point going up top. He hit Keith Lee with an angle slam from the second rope. Very impressive. Lee is a big dude. Dijakovic went for a double choke slam on both Strong and O'Reilly, but they countered into the high-low, took down Dijakovic. Cole tried to suplex Kevin Owens on the metal grate between the rings. Kevin Owens tried to hit the package pile driver onto the metal grate. Couldn't do it. Cole then sees an opportunity, and I could tell exactly what he had in mind. I knew exactly where this was headed. I didn't know if he would actually pull it off, but you could tell he was readying himself for the Panama Sunrise. He was going to drive this guy head first down through the steel. And it took a couple of attempts. He couldn't hit it right away, but then he finally did, and he hit the Panama Sunrise, the Destroyer, on Kevin Owens, right on top of his head on the metal grate between the two rings. Fast forward a little bit. Kevin Owens has recovered. He had a frog splash off the top, puts Kyle O'Reilly through a table. O'Reilly's out of the picture. Keith Lee, super power bomb to Bobby Fish, down through a table. Fish is out of the picture. And then we come down to Tommaso Ciampa and Adam Cole. Both men on top of the cage. See, this is why we see this every year. They've done War Games so far in WWE. This is why when they resurrected the War Games concept, they said no roof. Like WCW had, the NWA, the original War Games matches. You were fully contained inside this cage, inside the two rings. You didn't just have a cage surrounding you. You had a cage on top, like Hell in a Cell. And I remember Triple H on one of the conference calls 2 years ago. Was it 2 years or 3 years? 2 years ago now. Right around the time they did the first War Games, he said, well, we had to adjust because some of the guys want to perform moves. It's part of the action. We need to give them the freedom to be able to do that. You can't do that with a roof on the cage. And it's because of moves like this. The problem is it gives them some wild ideas to try some real crazy shit. And one of these days, somebody's going to die. Thank God that didn't happen tonight, but it almost did. I mean, these two are pros. I trust them. But from that height, any number of things can go wrong. You're off by a millimeter. Something moves. Some guy, doesn't land right. And it could be curtains. So I'm sure everybody held their breath when this happened here. Tommaso Ciampa, one of the damnedest things I've ever seen, hits an air raid crash all the way down through two tables side by side in the ring. Ciampa is laid out on top of Cole's dead body, and the referee counts the 3, and Team Ciampa wins. The camera then cuts to a shocked Britt Baker, AEW star Britt Baker, in the crowd, who Mauro Ranallo acknowledged by name as, the girlfriend of Adam Cole, Bebe. She looked terrified, and rightfully so, by what she had just seen. Adam Cole is a fucking maniac. I mean, so is Tommaso Ciampa. This guy's coming off neck surgery. What, he missed 7 months, 8 months? And believe me, he's got other injuries too. Forget just the neck. This guy is beaten to shit. He may never make it to the main roster. And this guy is hitting an air raid crash off the top of a cage. But Adam Cole is the one. I guess they're both competing tomorrow. Are they both competing tomorrow night? Do we know that for a fact? I'm going to have to check here in a second and see if they have updated the men's NXT team for Survivor Series. I'll check on that in a second. We know for sure that Adam Cole is not only wrestling, but he's the champion. So he's defending the NXT title. And there's always a certain expectation, a certain level of quality that you expect in those matches. He's defending against Pete Dunne. Hopefully he still does after this. But that finish was insane. A memorable finish to what I thought was an excellent War Games match. A nice surprise with Kevin Owens. He was my number 2 pick. I, like a lot of people, thought maybe John Morrison, who supposedly re-signed with WWE back, I think, in September, and we haven't really heard anything about him since. I was thinking maybe they were going to throw him out there as a surprise. Owens was my number 2 pick. Just, he had a little interaction on Monday with Triple H, former NXT champion, so I thought there was a chance they might do it. So that was a very cool moment. This match went almost 40 minutes. I think it was about 38 and change. I love both War Games matches this year. This was probably the better match overall, but that women's match is not too far behind. I know some people may have been put off by the Babyfaces winning. It was 4-on-2. It makes the heels look weak, and it negates the Dakota Kai heel turn. I don't think it does. I don't think it negates the heel turn. It would have worked either way, because if the Babyfaces lost, they could have blamed it squarely on Dakota. But it didn't bother me doing it the other way. Just the way it played out, it was damn near perfect to me. But to go back to Adam Cole and Pete Dunne at Survivor Series, the thing with that match, I think Cole is retaining. I don't think he's losing the championship yet. If he does retain, unless Undisputed Era interferes for some kind of screwy finish, how weak does it make Pete Dunne look if he can't beat a man who just took an air raid crash from 12 feet up through 2 tables the night before? Now, I know Pete Dunne on this same show had a 20-minute, war of his own with 2 men. But still, it kind of puts them, I think, in a weird spot now. Also, one of the things I think that's a positive as far as the men's Survivor Series elimination match, does what happened tonight with Owens coming out here on Ciampa's team cause friction between Kevin Owens and the members of Team Raw? Do they question his loyalty? Where does his loyalty stand? Last night, here he is at TakeOver, teaming with the enemy. Buddy with the enemy. Is he NXT or is he Raw? Where does his allegiance stand? Gives it a little bit more intrigue, I think, now going into the pay-per-view. So another excellent TakeOver show and a long line of excellent TakeOver shows. Next one has already been announced for Sunday. It's not going to be Saturday. It's Sunday, February 16th in Portland, Oregon is the next TakeOver show. Let me check the Twitter poll results so far. We have over 2,000 votes already in at Solomonster on Twitter. You can vote. The poll's going to be up for a few more days. 94% thumbs up, 6% thumbs down. I'm sure the majority of that 6% are just very upset, angry Kenny Omega fans, because I don't see how anybody in their right frame of mind could give the show anything but a thumbs up. Like, even if you didn't think the War Games matches were as great as I thought they were, some of the singles matches, you didn't rate them as highly. What about this show was thumbs down worthy? Like, it's all the Kenny Omega fans, I get it. They're very upset. They're very upset about the one-winged angel tonight that was kicked out of, and clearly it was done as a shot to AEW. There can be no other explanation for it, aside from, of course, the fact that, Killian Dane has not only used this move before, but even gave it a fucking name. But that's okay. We'll put that on the side. After Survivor Series goes off the air, join me live on the YouTube channel for a full recap and review of Survivor Series 2019. Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT for the very first time. We'll have a full recap of all the action. It's going to be a fun time live on the YouTube channel immediately following Survivor Series. I'll see you back here then. Until then, take care, guys.